Hi, welcome back to SQL Database Administration Hub. Today, we're covering how to create and manage databases like a professional DBA. Creating a database might sound simple, but there's a lot more to it than just clicking a button. Let's get into it. As a DBA, creating and managing databases is one of your core responsibilities. You'll be asked to create new databases, move them between servers, set them to read-only for reporting purposes, and work with contained databases in modern environments. Doing all of this correctly, with the right settings in the right way, is what separates a professional DBA from someone who just gets by. In this video, we'll cover 4 key areas: creating databases the right way, attaching and detaching databases, moving database files, and working with read-only and contained databases. Let's start with creating a database. You can do this in SSMS by right-clicking databases and selecting New Database. But as a professional DBA, you should also know how to do it with T-SQL, because scripting your actions is always better than clicking through a GUI when you need consistency and repeatability. Here's the basic T-SQL to create a database. Create database SalesDB on primary. Name and SalesDB data. File name is size is 1024 MB. File growth is 1056 MB. Size is 512 megabyte. File growth is 28 MB. Notice what we're doing here. We're specifying the file names and locations explicitly rather than letting SQL Server decide. We're pre-sizing both the data file and the log file to avoid autogrowth events early on. And we're setting fixed autogrowth increments in megabytes rather than percentages. These are all professional best practices that you should apply every time you create a database. After creating the database, immediately set the recovery model appropriate for its purpose, configure the compatibility level, and verify the file locations are on the correct drives, ideally with data files and log files on separate physical disks for performance. Sometimes you need to move a database from one SQL Server instance to another, or bring a database online that was previously taken offline. This is where Attach and Detach comes in. Detaching a database takes it offline and disconnects it from SQL Server while leaving the physical MDF and LDF files intact on disk. Once detached, you can copy or move those files to a new location or a different server. To detach a database in SSMS, right-click the database, go to Tasks, and select Detach. Make sure no one is connected to the database before you do this. You can check the Drop Connections option in the Detach dialog to handle that automatically. Attaching brings those files back online and registers the database with SQL Server. To attach an SSMS, right-click Databases, it handles it for you. SQL Server will automatically find the associated LDF file if it's in the same folder. You can also do this with T-SQL. Create database, salesdb.mdf for attach. One important note, always make sure the SQL Server service account has read and write permissions on the folder where the files are located, otherwise the attach will fail. Moving database files is slightly different from attach and detach, and it's a task you'll perform when you need to free up disk space or move data to a faster drive. The safest way to move database files is using the alter database command combined with taking the database offline. Here's the process. First, tell SQL Server the new file location. Alter database salesdb, modify file. Second, take the database offline. Alter database salesdb, set offline. Third, physically move the file using Windows Explorer or a robocopy command to the new location. Fourth, bring the database back online. Alter database salesdb, set online. This method is clean, scripted, and repeatable, exactly how professional DBA handles file moves. 2 more database management concepts you need to know are read-only databases and contained databases. This makes contained databases much more portable. You can move them between servers without having to recreate logins on the new server. To enable contained databases on your instance, run exec spconfigure1 contained database authentication. Then set the containment type on your database to partial under database properties in SSMS. Contained databases are especially useful in cloud environments and are becoming increasingly common in modern SQL Server deployments. And that's creating and managing databases like a pro. To recap, you learned how to create databases using T-SQL with professional best practices like pre-sizing files and specifying explicit file locations. You know how to use Attach and Detach to move databases between servers. You understand the correct process for moving database files safely using Alter Database. And you now know how read-only and contained databases work and when to use them. These are everyday DBA skills that you'll use throughout a career. The more comfortable you get with scripting these operations rather than clicking through SMS, the more professional and efficient you'll become. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and I'll see you there.
Generous Academy.